Good morning, students. I hope you all have revised your old figure of speech. Now we will go ahead with the new figures of speech. I know maybe you may feel this so many figures of speeches to learn, but then this is not as many as you should learn. I'll be teaching you all more, almost double in the 8th standard. So let's start with the new figure of speech today, that is apostrophe. Now, what is apostrophe? Um, Very often it happens that, like, sometimes an example I'll give you is if it's raining too heavily and you want to go out to play. So what do you do at that time? You just say like, oh God, why is it raining? Or you just speak directly to the rain because you want the rain to go away. So you may just say, oh rain, why have you come today of all the days? I want to play, my friends have come to play with me and I want to go out and play, right? So this is a figure of speech, that is apostrophe, because this is when you are talking to the rain. You are talking to the rain as if the rain can listen to you. Yes, and not only listen, it can also understand what you're saying. So in other words, you are talking to the rain as if it were human and it had the ability to listen and understand. Okay, that is a human ability to be able to listen and to understand. So here we are giving some things that are not human. When do you say not human? When you're talking to a flower, it is a living thing. Okay, you're talking to a tree, it's a living thing. It's not, but it's not human. Correct? Or when you're talking to the sun, when you're talking to the wind, when you're talking to the stone, this would be an inanimate or non-living object. So when you're talking to something that is not human, maybe living but not human, and something that is non-living, as if they were human and as if they can hear you and understand you, that's when it is an apostrophe. Clear? So now let's see the first example. Goodbye summer. Here you see the person is wishing summer goodbye, no? Because he's waiting for the next season, that is the rainy season. Summer is too hot, right? So the explanation would be summer, which is inanimate, is addressed to or spoken to, right? Addressed means you're speaking to someone. Second example, oh bird, how beautiful you look. Now here the person is looking at the bird, maybe a beautiful bird he has seen, maybe a peacock or whatever bird, and he is telling the bird that it is a beautiful bird. Now first example, it is an inanimate or a non-living thing, and second, it is not a non-living thing, it is a non-human thing. Clear? Okay. Now when we go to the onomatopoeia. Now how to remember this word onomatopoeia? You break the word into smaller parts so that it becomes easy to remember not only the word but also the spelling. Like you can divide it into on, a, mat. So imagine you are sitting on a mat, on a mat. Okay, and then you remember oh, poya. So it becomes a little easier spelling if you divide it into on, o, mat, o, poya. On, o, mat, o, poya. Okay. So now in this figure of speech, you're talking of any sound, any indication of sound, any words that resemble sound or talk of sound. Okay. Like for example, a car zooms. The car zoomed past. So that word zoom is a sound that the car made as it sped very fast. Clear? So that word, because of that word, that sentence becomes onomatopoeia. So let's see the first example. Pitter patter falls the rain. Now here, what is the sound the rain is making? Pitter patter. That is why it is onomatopoeia. The second example, the door creaked open. So when the door was being opened, it made a creaking sound. So here sound is indicated So it is again onomatopoeia. Okay. So when you think of onomatopoeia, you must remember sound. And remember to break the word up. On, o, mat, o, poem. Okay. Now personification. Now when you look at the word personification itself, you can see the word person in it. Person. Yes. Now person is a human being. You're talking of a human being. Now in personification, you are giving human abilities, means what a human being can do. Remember, we spoke apostrophe, but they are talking of only one ability of a human being, that is being able to listen and to understand. Clear? Here you're talking of any ability of a human being, that is being able to sing, being able to dance, being able to think, being able to love, being able to talk. Yes, being able to look. All these, when they are given the same thing like apostrophe, when they are given to something that is not human, maybe a bird, maybe a crow, maybe a tree, or something that is inanimate, that is non-living, maybe a river, maybe sea, maybe a stone, a mountain, the breeze, all this. When you're giving the human ability, that means what a human being can do, that quality or ability you're giving to a non-living or a non-human thing, it is called as personification. You are personifying them. You are treating them as if they were human or giving them abilities of a human being. See the first example. The sun smiles in the sky. Now here, what is the sun doing? The action that the sun is doing is smiling. So, it is the ability of a human being to be able to smile. But you're saying that the sun, which is non-living, so it is an inanimate object, is smiling. Second one, the dancing flower. What action is the flower doing? Now, flower is not non-living, it is non-human. So, you will, in your explanation, you will say non-human. Okay. So, dancing flower. What is the action the flower is doing? Dancing. So you're saying that the flower has the ability of a human being of being able to dance. So here it is personification. Now the difference between apostrophe and personification. In personification, you are giving human abilities or qualities to things that are non-human or non-living. In apostrophe, you are talking to non-human or inanimate objects as if they were human. Clear? Okay. Moving on to the next one. The next figure of speech is metaphor. Now you learn simile. Metaphor is almost similar to a simile. The only difference is here also there is a comparison between two things of different kind. The difference between metaphor and simile is that in simile you use words like as, if, as though. All these words are used to make the comparison. Whereas in metaphor, the comparison is made. There is also something similar between both the objects, but the difference is that they do not use these words as, like, as, dot, dot, as to make the comparison. Clear? You can see the first example. He was a lion in the battle. So here who is being compared? He is being compared to a lion. Now what is similar between both of them is both are brave. So in other words, they're trying to say he was very brave and he was fighting very bravely in the battle. Now he was a lion. So here it's not a direct comparison. He is compared to a lion indirectly because those words are not there. Clear? Now if I make a small change in it, he was like a lion in the battle. Now I added only one word, that is like. Here the sentence changes and the figure of speech changes and it becomes a simile because I used the word like. If I remove the word like, it is metaphor. So simile, you remember simile, you should also remember metaphor at the same time because both are 99% the same except for the word like or as being used in simile and not being used in metaphor. The second example, she was a dwarf in front of the huge animal. So who is being compared? She is being compared to a dwarf. She is being compared. You know who is a dwarf? A dwarf is a person who is very short in height, in stature, like what you say in Hindi, bona. Okay, the person who doesn't grow very tall. You had one Shah Rukh Khan's movie Zero. Yes, he was very short in that. He was a dwarf in that. So she was a dwarf. So you're comparing her to a dwarf. Okay, same way I can just add she was like a dwarf in front of the huge animal at that time. Because of the word like being used, it becomes a simile. Okay, so remember metaphor and simile are almost the same. Only thing is that the use of those particular words like, as or as makes the big difference. Okay, so we have finished the figures of speech for today, and I want you to sit and write this, study it, even with the spellings. Yes, so you should know the spellings of alliteration, metaphor, simile, onomatopoeia. All these words you should know the spellings, right? Because if you don't know, you don't write the proper spelling, you are not getting full marks in spite of learning everything. Just because of one alphabet being here and there or missed out, you will lose your marks. So see that you study the spellings also properly. And since I have finished with your figures of speech for the 7th standard, I will be giving you your next will be your homework. So in order to be able to do your homework, you have to study your figures of speech well, right? So read, as I said before, read from the first figure of speech to the 12th figure of speech. Read it over and over again. You may not remember everything at one time, but if you do read it again and again, you are going to remember it. It will not be so difficult. Remember it with the spellings and try to associate, like as I told you, simile and metaphor. Okay, so they are almost the same. Yes, antithesis and tautology, they are almost the same. If you remember one, it's easy to remember the second one. So that's the way you should try to remember your figures of speech, relating them, and also learn the spellings. Don't forget. Okay, so wish you best of luck to learn everything, all the figures of speech, to revise them, and best of luck for doing your exercise. Next time I will be only giving you all homework which you all can copy and write the answers to it. Thank you.